Hello everyone, I'm Shubham and welcome back to my channel F1 Aerodynamicist. Well, today we're going to talk about my F1 journey, how I landed up going from the smallest state of India, that is Goa, all the way into the pinnacle of motorsport racing. And to make this discussion easier to follow, I'm going to break it down into 5 phases. So let's get on with it then. Welcome. So the first phase is the motivation phase. And how did I land up getting the motivation and what inspired me, right? So let's dive into it. As a kid, I used to watch a lot of sports. So I was going through my TV and I landed up literally stumbling onto Formula One. And if you guys remember back in 2007, they had this cute speedometer graphics on the TVs when they would show the head cam of the drivers. And that kind of caught my eye. I wondered like how did this car go around Irouge at like 200 miles an hour? And I was really awestruck at that entire battle between Hamilton and Fernando Alonso that year. So I googled it up and I came across the word aerodynamics. And a lot of people ask me like how did I kind of pursue my passion? Honestly, I hooked on to that one word which was called aerodynamics and I chased it. I chased it everywhere. And now I have my own definition for it. I think aerodynamics, in my opinion, is the science of generating a force from a means that you cannot see but you can feel. I don't think I think that's quite original. I don't think it's out there. But that was my inspirational story. Basically, watching Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton battle it out through Rouge and going through the process of trying to ask myself the question, how does it happen? And then coming across the word aerodynamics, and then how do I chase that word and where can I find it out there in the world? So then transitioning on to from school, I still remember that my teachers, I used to tell my teachers that I want to get into Formula One, and then people would not really know what Formula One is. Back in those days, you're talking about like 10, 12 years ago, and people would just laugh at me. But I had a vision, I had a dream, and I thought it's worth going for it. So then I came on to my academic phase. So chasing that word aerodynamics, I landed up giving up a lot of good colleges, in fact, like BITS Goa and NIT Goa, because they did not offer aerospace engineering, and I really couldn't crack the top elite IITs as I did not have enough preparation for it. So I ended up going to this college called IIAEM, which is the International Institute for Aerospace Engineering and Management, affiliated towards Jain University, and I did my Bachelor's of Aerospace Engineering. Now, this is in no way me marketing that college. It was good for me back in that time. I don't know how the college has evolved, so just don't jump on to trying and applying for that college. But what was really important during my entire phase of my bachelor's was because I had absolutely no idea what aerodynamics was. I landed up kind of involving myself into a lot of projects from my bachelor's. So I landed up getting into the SAE design, build, and fly competitions where we kind of built RC aircrafts. As you can see in this photo, that was one of the RC aircraft that we built, which actually won a lot of first places all across India and beat a lot of the IIT level competitors. And that was what I did in my first or second year. Literally, we used to bunk classes and we used to build this RC aircraft. So hello to the entire team back then. If you guys are watching this, cheers to that. Cheers to those times. And in my third and fourth year, I kind of decided that to really get into the domain, I needed to kind of get a feel for the softwares and for the mathematical background that goes behind, something like CFD and making CFD softwares and making like performance program charts and stuff like that. So I ended up participating into the AIAA aircraft design competition in the undergraduate level category. And that was an eye opener because I ended up reading a lot of aircraft design books. I ended up learning a lot about aircraft performance and how aerodynamics is embedded into performance and how different mission profiles require different aerodynamic designs and different performance requirements drives aerodynamics and vice versa. And this kind of laid the foundation for me and my interview into my Skillset Phase, that is my phase with Bell helicopters, or now as they're renamed as Bell Flight. Um, it was an amazing opportunity. I started as an intern, in which I was expected to do a single project, I think, but I landed up really maximizing the hours, and I landed up doing 3 or 4 projects, which was quite impressive because they actually hired me because of it, even though they did not really have a space. And at least that's the backstory that I know. So I started off as an intern, and they kind of offered me a job, and I started as a aerodynamics and performance engineer, where I worked mostly on the Bell 525 helicopter. I don't know if it's still certified, but this helicopter was fun for me to play around with, and its designs, and kind of coming up with multiple aerodynamic solutions to reduce drag, to kind of deal with the rotor wake, impinging, the empennage, and those kind of studies. And that's where I kind of spent a year and a half doing aerodynamic studies and performance analysis, which was really close to what I would actually do if I got into Formula One day. And my perspective was that, I would like to analyze data. I would like to get a feeling of how performance is driven through data, and that's really what I learned as a performance engineer at Bell Flight. And then when it came to aerodynamics, got involved into some really cool projects in collaboration with the US team in terms of trying to understand the rotor wake. As you know, it's quite complicated. It's pretty much unsteady aerodynamics, which is a different category of beast altogether. But people who know about helicopters know that this is a machine whose parts want to desperately move away from each other, but they're held together somehow. And as my professor famously said, if you're stuck on top of a hill, a helicopter will save your life, but an airplane will throw the flower garlands on your dead body. Quite dark, but it's true it is. So all the good work on the Bell 525 laid the foundation to get the opportunity to work on the Bell Nexus air taxi. That is this bad boy, this one, yeah, this bad boy. And that project kind of got me really into R&D of like ducted fans, and like the interaction between fans and wings. And that was a whole new era of design, actually, in which all these new companies were trying out different designs for the future air taxi, and Bell really got involved in it because they thought that they have an amazing opportunity, simply because they were the only company in the world that had actually legally certified a vertical takeoff airplane, which is the V22. So as you can imagine, a brilliant job. I get to do my aerodynamic studies, I get to do my performance analysis, and honestly, a great team. Flight technology back in those days, I don't know how it is now again, but flight technology back in those days was a really fun team to learn from and to be around. Everybody was quite open, and we had a lot of encouragement to try out different ideas and kind of get on with new innovative projects. So thank you for all the guys out there at Bell who kind of helped me out back then. So at this point of time, I was in a dilemma because I had a really good job, but I knew that pursuing this job for a couple of more years would land up me in this domain kind of for the long term. And at that point, I had to kind of decide, do I kind of do this in the long term, or do I give all of this up and try and take a leap of faith to kind of make it into Formula One? I guess the confidence that I'd really done well here and I could always come back in a strange way always was there within me, and that kind of gave me the confidence to kind of leapfrog and go into a phase where I called the leap of faith phase. And in this leap of faith phase, I was really looking out for colleges, right? And I stumbled onto this program in Italy, which was called as the Motorsport University of Emilia Romagna. And what I ended up doing is the Masters of Racing Car Design with specialization in applied aerodynamics and vehicle dynamics. And I was shocked to see the Italian culture, because it was a completely different culture to mine, but at the same time quite similar as I spent time into it. And I'm going to kind of cover in a different video like how I ended up choosing this university and what are the pros and cons of this university versus some other UK universities, for example. And I'm going to do that in a different video so that I don't stretch this out too long. For you all to understand what Munnar is all about, I want you guys to watch this 2-minute video, which kind of really describes well what the program is all about, right?
Can you imagine the cars and the motorcycles of the future? Will they be connected to everything? How will their design change? How will the engine of tomorrow work? Maybe motor vehicles will turn on just with a glimpse. But above all, skills and training tools that only a great university can offer. This is the reason why Munnar, the Motor Vehicle University of Emilia-Romagna, was born. A campus as big as an entire region, where the brands that made the history of the automotive industry and the main universities of Emilia-Romagna merged together to design the 8 automotive engineering careers of the future in electric vehicle engineering, electronic and communication system, autonomous driving engineering, advanced powertrain, advanced motorcycle engineering, advanced sports car manufacturing, high-performance car design, racing car design. All of them under 3 master's degrees with an innovative learning by doing approach. The most famous automotive companies in the world put their know-how and the most innovative technologies at the service of students to train the engineers of tomorrow directly through their professionals. With Munnar, the most talented students will shift from designing to testing within the most renowned manufacturers with the skills of those already pursuing the future and bringing it forward. Start here and keep writing the history of 2 and 4 wheels. If you are an engineer with passion for automotive, if you have strong skills and a multidisciplinary curiosity, join Munnar, the University of Motor Vehicle that will drive you into the future. Find out more at motorvehicleuniversity.com.
Just to summarize my experience at Munnar was really good. I'm going to make a separate video to kind of dive into the details because I've got a lot of questions at LinkedIn asking about my experience in Munnar. So I'm going to answer like specifics in a different video altogether. But my experience at Munnar was so rich that it really prepared me, especially the racing car design masters that I did, really prepared me for my interview at Red Bull. From the fundamentals of aerodynamics to the application part that we learned at Dallara was honestly fundamental in how well I was able to answer my Red Bull interview. And that's when it all happened. I tried and I applied for the Red Bull student placement for the aero dev position, and I had like a series of interviews with back then it was Corona time, so I had like 6 interviews of 20 minutes or 30 minutes each with different people from HR to team leaders to principal aerodynamicists. And I kind of left that interview thinking that this is probably the best I could do. And if somebody else gets in, then probably that person deserves to be in that place. So I was quite satisfied in the way I gave my interview and I prepared really hard for it. Again, I'm going to make a separate video about how you can prepare for interviews with F1 teams and what are the kind of specifics that you need to get into, especially if you are trying and applying for the aerodynamics position. So stay tuned for that video too. But in terms of what did I do, so I did my student placement as an aerodynamics engineer at Red Bull into the front car group. So basically working on the front wings and on the front half of the car. On the RB16B, my role was mostly operational in terms of helping in the ops room on race weekends. And on the RB18, which is the 2022 championship contender, we ended up winning the drivers and the constructors championship, which is a dream come true because not only have I been able to work in the legendary aero department of Red Bull Racing, but I've also been able to win a championship with them, and I've contributed to the development of the front wing and the entire process that goes into brainstorming different concepts and what works and what doesn't, the whole wind tunnel testing. Again, more into my entire experience and in-depth video on my Red Bull experience coming up ahead. But I just wanted to summarize my journey into F1 because a lot of people ask me about it. So I went from the motivation phase onto the academic phase and then onto the skill set phase. And then I took a leap of faith where I just said, it's now or never. Chase to dream, chase the board aerodynamics, and dreams do come true. You just have to chase them. So if you've liked this and if you're excited about some of the videos that I'm going to make, do give me a like and do tell me what you want me to make videos about in the comments so that I can make content specifically for y'all. Again, thank you. You're watching F1 Aerodynamicist.